The fastest way to implementation is, what does that collaboration internally look like? Because you're going to need all pieces of the puzzle. Selling the company first and not the products. Like, that's the conversation you're always having, is how do I sell my company to build a foundation of who we are? Can we handle? So then you have the contracting team talking about the business side of it. You got the sales team that's selling the clinical side of it. It meets together at value analysis, right? And then the outcome is
Let's talk about the IDN level a little bit. What kind of hurdles do you face at that level once you get there?
I would say out of the gate, my biggest hurdle I've ever has been not the getting in the door, maybe like the people at the hospital. I think my biggest hurdle has always been internally, right? It's that communication with my team to understand what I'm trying to do as a national accounts director or a GPO manager at the contracting level, right, at the C-suite level, if you would, of the hospital. That the fastest way to implementation is what I've always called is the contract squeeze, right? And that really is just an easy way to say top-down, bottom-up approach. But before I really dive into that, like I think about, let's talk about what that trust factor is in your own facility, right? Is there a collaboration between all teammates, right? Do you have a collaboration between your national accounts director and your regional manager and your sales team, right? Are you bringing in your marketing teams as part of this conversation too? So what does that collaboration internally look like? Because you're going to need all pieces of the puzzle when you're implementing a product. And maybe you don't have a GPO contract, right? And you're trying to sell your technology within that health system. You're going to need the collaboration of everybody to be on the same page so that you can get the buy-in from the clinicians, and then from the reps focus, but then you also have the buy-in from value analysis, supply chain, contracting, which is what the national accounts goal should be, right? That directive should be coming from them specifically.
So what is a national accounts director doing before there is a contract? Maybe value analysis and supply chain doesn't have knowledge about your company or product line. Mm-hmm. What is it that you can do as a national account?
The way I look at it is the national accounts director is the business sales, right? That's the business-minded side of it, where they should be meeting with those those departments, those leadership, supply chain, value analysis, the contracting team, and going over what the organization brings, right? Selling the company first and not the products. Like, that's the conversation you're always having, is how do I sell my company to build a foundation of who we are? Can we handle the supply? Where does the products come from? What does our supply chain look like? What resiliencies have we put in place? What guarantees are we willing to put in place, right? How does this all fit into what the hospital needs are for best outcome in patient care, cost savings, reducing a problem, right? But everybody has a pitch with a product and features and benefits, but the national accounts director should be selling the company at the highest level of an organization within the health system, to start really building the foundation of what they can do systematically and not just with a product.
Yeah. And so who in the health organizations or the IDNs, what roles are willing to have those conversations with the national accounts director prior to contracting?
There's always a category lead manager, right? There's always an assignment of products. So whether it's med device, purchase services, PPI, right? There's always a set number of contract team members at the facility that are responsible for a category. So you got to find out who is responsible for that category, and that's where you would start, right? Asking questions about when they're going to open up the bid or what they're looking for or any shortfalls they're having right now. Is there any pain points within that facility that maybe you can accommodate, right? Saving goals. Right? Like, what are their savings for next year that they have to reach? Is it a group effort? Is it a single contract buying effort? Right? You're starting to ask these questions of the contracting team from a business side of what is going to make them be more interested in working with you. I think one thing you have to remember is majority of the contracting folks at the hospital are not clinical, right? So if you go in trying to sell a clinical solution to a contracting manager who hasn't really been in the field, it's kind of going over their head. They're going to go call on the others that they rely on or bring in value analysis, whatever. So you got to build a relationship with a contract manager first to see how they tick and what their goals are and what their initiatives are and what their directions are from the hospital. and how do you fit in there?
And you're hypothetically having those conversations at the same time that the field sales rep is initiating conversations on the clinical side.
Absolutely, right. So you're working at that level and having conversation, trying to figure out how from the company standpoint, how you can support them and how you can fit into what they're trying to accomplish their goals. The reps are then selling clinically, right? They're the ones that are building relationship with the doctors, clinical staff, education, wherever it may be from your service, your technology, right? And they're building a relationship at the clinical level. And then what happens is that when those clinical folks all are more comfortable with what you can offer as a product, what you can offer as potential services, they're going to communicate that up into their leadership, which then rolls up into value analysis eventually, right? So when you're talking with your contract manager, you're teaching them about your company, about your portfolio, maybe about a specific product and outcome, what value adds you bring, what decrease in savings or patient readmissions or whatever it may be. You're making them way more versed in your product because most likely they're the ones who are going to have to present to the value analysis. It's very, very rare that they allow someone from a manufacturer to come in, right? So if you can make that contract manager or that supply chain director more versed in your company and what you're bringing, and then the clinical team is coming up saying, I had really good experience with this product. I really like the rep. They go above and beyond for me. They have other products that could fit and be a need for us. So then you have the contracting team talking about the business side of it. You got the sales team that's selling the clinical side of it. It meets together at value analysis, right? And then the outcome is a trusted partnership, most likely an award. And then everyone's on the same page of what expectations and success looks like. And to me, that's what the contract squeeze is.
Great. And so what does great collaboration amongst all the teams and the manufacturer, what does that look like?
Transparency. And that goes on many different levels, right? So communication, we always will say that, right? But transparencies of where products are made, maybe where some bottlenecks could be, what your plan is, if they're, disaster relief plans, like those are like things that really matter now, like post-COVID, it's like, well, how would you recover if you had a back order? Where do your suppliers come from, your third-party suppliers located, and then if we needed to get product, what would be the back order solution for us? How would we sub this product out, right? Building all that up front is extremely, extremely important to building that success of like how open you're going to be. And then on top of that is that you've gone above and beyond and you're helping educate too. You're going around, and sometimes the national accounts director should be doing this too, but not just is taking the information that they discuss with their contract manager and then meeting with the different departments at the hospital level, department heads, and doing that with the sales rep, right? So that you've gone around and had conversations per the direction of the hospital, but we're all on the same page, and you're helping taking some of that work off of their plate and saying, hey, I'll meet with these people, we'll go over these products or this service, we'll go over these terms, right? We'll do in-services, we'll do education, we'll create pamphlets or QR codes or whatever it may be for you, so they feel more versed in the product, and then we'll report it all back to you, right? We can set up Survey Monkeys or whatever, right? So think about all those things that you're doing for the contract manager as a resource to them, and that should never end. Like if you do that to earn the business, that's also what you should do after you get the business, to always have continued education. If you can do SKU reduction for further cost savings, whatever it could be built into your program.
So how does this all tie together to the contract squeeze?
Yeah, so you've used your contract manager, right, as to open doors for you, right? Once you've built that relationship and that trust, now you've got someone who's willing to go out for you and promote you, your company, and your technology. So you're using the contract manager as a resource as well, opening doors, setting up soft emails or conversations, or hey, the team's going to stop by to show you this product. They should be that liaison of that hurdle. Hey, so and so won't get back to me. How do I reach this department? Let them be a resource for you there. You want to. We talked about showing that you are a strategic industry partner, right? Because you're going above and beyond. But once you have everything kind of in place, then you've got that buy-in from that clinical team. You have the contracting manager supporting you, and your technology through the hospital, and they're always going to bring in the right people for you, right? So if you need to get someone higher up at supply chain, or you need to get someone higher up in procurement, wherever it may be, right? They're going to help you get to those right people, and set up meetings where it could be, whether one-on-one meetings live, it could be Zoom, right? It could be education material that they're asking for. But ultimately, your value prop has now been realized on all departments of the hospital. And you set yourself up as best you can, again, from the top up, bottom down, or top down, bottom up. Yeah. And, but that output of the trusted partnership is really what you've built that whole time.